How's it going? So I want to make this super quick video. Like, back in time, there were games like NBA Jam. One sec. Okay, so I'm gonna link this one as well. There are a 3-part series, so you can watch part 1, part 2, part 3. And there you can clearly see, because it's very easy to test in this game. What you do is you have, there's emulators, you can save the game, you can win by 20 points. Like, look, this character here has 3 points, 10 out of 10. Okay? Once the game is 0-0 score, he will make every shot, because it's very easy to simulate successful shots. You just go here, he jumps up, as soon as he reaches the top, you release, it's going to score all the time. As soon as the score is 0-0, 2-0, it's going to score all the time. As soon as you are winning by 10 to 20 points, the computer is just, they just become like obnoxiously to deal with. They somehow start running faster. And for some reason, this guy, I counted, he made like 3 out of 15. Like, just think about it. Like, the game has to rig it so that it allows the computer to come back. And it wants to keep the score to 50. Like, it wants to keep the score tied. Just like systems, we have engagement optimized matchmaking, which like companies like Riot, other gaming companies are using. So you see, you have to understand that this is rigged. Why is it rigged? Because it needs to, in that time, they need to make you interested in coming back and putting in the quarters, because this was not free back in the time. This is game in the 90s. Every game that you played costed money. So the more you come back, the more money they make. And it's the same, exactly the same ding dong right now. The more you come back, especially with free-to-play games, they need a base of players to function. You have to understand that their business is not going to work if there is no player base. No one is going to download League of Legends to play with computer. Nobody does that. So that means they have to have a loyal, addicted base in order for the business to function. So they will do whatever it takes to make sure that you come back and play, just like these games. Okay, I'm gonna link this in the description below. But this guy he did very cool thing. But he's a creator, so he has time. He went into an actual code for the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And in this video, you can see him going through the code. There, it's somewhere here, but you have to watch the whole video. I think it's in here somewhere. You will see that it actually, the cheating mechanic is actually built into the code. So anybody who's like, oh, yeah, you know, engagement optimized matchmaking is just copium. You have to understand that people back then were also saying, you are bad at the game, this is why you're losing. It's not because the computer is cheating. Whereas in here, you look at the code, it's 100% built in. And now you have things like, here you can see that he shows that computer responds to your moves before animation even starts. Like in here, with what you call it. Well, he actually says a lot of nice things, so maybe we'll keep the audio on.
And like many arcade games from that era, Street Fighter II's game code was built with mechanics that would often stack the odds against you, and in some instances downright cheat to clinch victory. It's important to note here that when we say cheating, we're talking about game code that's built in to make the CPU gain an advantage, and this game code simply cannot be performed by any human given their reaction times and the approximate 2.6 frames of input delay that the arcade game has.
You see, like in here, look at the move. First of all, it jumped perfectly. And as soon as you activate it to counter her, she immediately countered you. With like millisecond precisions. That's what I mean by cheating. And you can see that in this game as well. It's like, this guy has 0 out of... Once the computer is down by 20, again, it's super easy to test in here. This player is 0 out of 10 for 3 points, right? and he is able to hit every single 3-point as soon as they're down by 20. He's not supposed to be doing that, but he can, because that's the mechanic. That's the mechanic. And I'll link these two videos so you can watch. So again, if you're playing the game and you think that this is not rigged, and that this big gigantic esport, well, not esport, but I'm talking about the gaming companies that is sole interest is to keep you playing and not using cheats and rigged systems in order to keep you coming back. This game is from 90s. We are now almost 30 years later. They have perfected their systems to such degree where, I mean, I talk to people, they spend like decades playing some games. Decades. And they're just like, oh my god, they say I'm not addicted, but dude, I have not played a single game that long, honestly. League of Legends, I'll tell you, I was addicted for sure. 100% beyond shadow of doubt. And how do they do that? They exploit this type of mechanics. It's definitely beyond shadow of doubt built into the game. And why I like this video here is because he goes into the code and he shows you where it is. Let me just find it, one second. Okay, I found the part where he explains it, so it's 5:28. I'm gonna mute myself and then let you watch it.
The way up to the experienced player. But let's try to understand how the game cheats and what exactly is going on. Now, before we dive into the code, it's important to know some terms that are used in the game. When it comes to midway games, the term drone is used to describe a computer opponent. The mkdrone.c file handles all the AI for a drone and each of their corresponding characters in the game. The AI itself is pretty basic. Internally, the code will use a variable known as diff, and this stores the current difficulty of the game. This value then is used in a random number chance that the computer AI will react to your move. Note that this variable diff is internal, and it's not the same as the actual difficulty level of the game in the machine's dip switch settings. Now, this is specific UMK3 code, but for the first 3 matches, the diff variable will increase by 1, and if you make it to the 4th round in the ladder, then diff will increase by an additional 2, and if you make it to the 5th round and beyond, diff will increase by an additional 3. The highest value diff can be is 9. The variable diff controls how the AI reacts in the game. It also will help the player in certain scenarios. For example, if the player loses 3 matches in a row, then the diff variable is decreased by 1, making the next game, should the player decide to pump in more quarters into the arcade cabinet, a little easier. The term in the code that is used when a drone performs a counter is known as a reaction, and there are many scenarios where a drone will react to any move that the player is performing. The percentages of those reactions are based on a sliding scale. This variable here, rt_drone_reverse, is a list of values from 0 to 900. If the difficulty is 6 then this value returned is 700. This value is then passed to another function known as rand_per, and this essentially is taking the value 700 and dividing it by 1000, which means that there is a 70% chance that in the second match on the ladder that a drone will react to your move. If you manage to get to the 4th match on the ladder, the difficulty is maxed at a 90% chance, and this is where the CPU AI really starts to cheat. And note that these drone reactions are performed within the same frame. This also helps explain on very, very few occasions where an uppercut or a forward jump kick will actually land. The CPU AI also checks to see if you are spamming repeat moves and attempts to counter them. Note here in UMK3, as soon as I come in with a forward jump kick, the CPU immediately backs away so the kick won't connect, and this repeats every single time. The diff variable is what drives the entire AI for the computer. Another function here, toss_drone_check, checks if the player can perform a throw, but the function react_exfer_him is where the drone has a chance to react, once again based on that diff variable. If that variable is set high, then the drone will react more often. Another thing to note is that the default difficulty on MK2 in the arcade is medium. You can adjust the dip switch settings difficulty to be as low as very easy, but this is only delaying the inevitable. Essentially, the diff value will start out lower, but you'll always be at 9 by the time that you progress to the bosses.
Okay, I like the part when he said that, okay, if you lose, the diff variable is going to decrease. So you see, making your chance of winning next game easier. So do you understand? Like, it's kind of like engagement optimized matchmaking, only very early stages of it, where we're trying to manipulate your dopamine levels and excitement of winning by building in functions into AI to allow you to accomplish certain amount of randomness, right? Because what do we see? We see that there is 90, it goes from like 20 to 90% chance AI is going to respond, and then probability of you winning, right? So if you start winning too much, it starts cheating, like for example in the case of my experience, at least in League of Legends, as soon as you go on a winning streak, hallelujah, your teammates just keep getting worse and worse and worse. and at some point the switch happens and you just start losing, and it's like all hell breaks loose, right? And that is similar mechanic. And I already showed this. Yeah, I already showed their patents for this. Like you can find them online, but this is patent office for Riot Games for their matchmaking multiplayer algorithm. So another thing I'll tell you, in the game one time I noticed is that pentakills sometimes happen for no reason whatsoever. I was playing as Tryndamere, and I honest to God, like I did a quadra kill, and then my ult ran out. I had almost no health. Vi came out, ulted me. For some reason, I shit you not, for some reason I did not die to the ult, which I found to be very, very strange. Right? And then I critted her 3 times in a row. And I somehow won. Just picture this setting. And that Vi had Trinity Force. Right? Now, I was Omega jacked. I'm talking about I was really, really high. I was like maybe 2 or 3 levels ahead of her. But picture this, right? I have almost no health. Vi with Trinity Force ults me. I don't die. Right? And then she combos me, and I still don't die, and I still kill her. And I get a pentakill. At that point, I was like, I wasn't happy about the penta. The first thing that popped to my mind was like, dude, this is rigged. This is beyond shadow of doubt rigged. There is no way this Vi with ult and full combo with Trinity Force could not kill 100 HP Tryndamere. And I did not have, I think I had Hydra, but I mean, dude, there is 0 chance I was able to out-heal her. 0 chance. There's no way. And also, how the hell did I do so much damage? I literally, it was like 3 hits and she just died. And it wasn't like, and she was like one of their best players on the team. So at that point I was like, man, this is for sure beyond shadow of doubt rigged. For sure. I heard some people say that sometimes they also, you take less damage, they noticed. Sometimes you do more damage, sometimes you take more damage. I also noticed sometimes minions, you right hit the cannon minions and they just... But that I can blame maybe on FPS loss. But I would not be surprised if there is also built-in mechanic where you miss cannons or you miss minions randomly. I would not be surprised if it's built into it. So for this reason, like, I mean, I quit long time ago now. Like I'm never... Like I have a dude that I can play with because I'm on holidays right now, but I'm just not... I don't want to go back into this world where I'm just a sheep in this. You have to understand, like, I think of this is like pretty much e-drugs. It's like crack. Just pure e-drugs. I think they have figured out how to simulate the effects of drugs on your brain using video games. And this is why these games are just so obnoxiously addictive. So this is why I'm showing you this. Like, I mean, this existed for a very, very long time now. So you have to think in terms of, okay, back then it was in its infancy. Think about it like now we're talking 30 years later, where we have AI, we have good, a lot of research into cognitive behavior of humans. We have a lot of money being pumped into behavioral studies on animals, including some humans, right? How do you make a game super addictive? And I'm pretty sure at this stage they became very, very good at it. Very, very good. I'll give you another example of... One second. Now, this is from food industry. It's called the Bliss point. It's right amount of fat, sugar, and salt for deliciousness. So, why there is like epidemic of people just... Obesity is like a big problem in developed worlds right now. It's because companies optimized food to such maximum dopamine satisfaction where it's very difficult to let go of it. It takes very, very long time. Like, I mean, I'm a very, very disciplined person, but it took me a very long time to quit sugar. It took me a very long time to quit, like, you know, candy, like that kind of like crisps and stuff like that, because it's like mayonnaise. I mean, it's just, the food is just so delicious. It's crazy. It's just obnoxiously crazy how delicious it is. To the point where I start to think of it as like, this is just definitely a... How am I going to eat broccoli after a bag of crisps? It's just impossible. It is impossible. So the only conclusion is just not to use it. That's why I was, with my dietitian, I was debating her. She was like, every once in a while it's okay to eat junk food, but you are eating crack. You have to understand that this food is on such high level of optimization in terms of dopamine per bite. There is no such optimization in apples. Nobody grew, like, apples are still delicious, like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, relative to a Monster drink or to like a bag of crisps, I mean, it's just completely different dimensions. Like, I find pears to be very, very sweet. But again, it's nowhere close. So that's what I'm saying, is that the only real solution to the problem is to just not use it, and that's it. It's like telling a crackhead, like a person who is a junkie, just like, oh, you know, today you're going to be eating potatoes, and then, you know, at the end of the week you can continue to use cocaine. Dude, like, as soon as he hits cocaine, that potato is gone. He won't be able to eat potato at all. He'll be only thinking about his next dose. That's what I'm saying, is that the best option, the way to win this game is to not to play at all. I will quote a very famous investor who said, sometimes the best investment is the one that you don't make. And in here, the best way to beat the game is to not to play it. Alright? I'll link the videos in the description below. Take care, bye bye.